I know.
Hi, welcome everyone. This is Galactic Shamans live tarot and energy signature readings, energy readings. We do this every Thursday. Oh, hold on. Got an echo. So yeah, I'm excited to be here with Deepa from Let's Evolve Together Tarot. We offer this to the collective, really speaking about the new earth and helping to usher in more of that co-creation, more of what we feel in our hearts and what we're sharing from a galactic perspective, the perspective of essentially spirit, with the understanding that we're not alone in the universe, that we have our star brothers and sisters, our dragon families. There's all kinds of amazing energies out there that people would say are mythical or not real, but more and more we're tapping into those realms and realizing there is truth to this, like there was long ago, and this is coming back now. So we're excited to be here to talk about that. And we also offer the mini tarot and energy readings, where we're basically tuning in to your energy and getting guidance from the cards and our own higher self, channeling the wisdom that comes through from your higher self, your galactic self. And so that's a lot of fun because it's live. And so how that works is you just pay in the link that's either in the description or in the chats, and then we'll get you set up. We'll get you on the list. It's $28, and both Deepa and I will be doing the reading. So it's a fun back and forth. And you would just type your question in the comments. What else? Yeah, Deepa, you want to share anything? Anything I missed with that?
Nope. Sounds perfect.
Okay, cool. So our theme today is inner source love, joy, and peace. So we have these themes that came through when I was writing up the description for what this is and what the new earth is. And I just kind of wrote out all these things that came to me as far as what my perspective of what the new earth is. You know, everyone has their own perspective. And in a sense, it was like channeled, and we just decided to start going down the list. And so that's the theme for today. We've done a number of other ones that you can go check out on our recordings, either at Let's Evolve Together or Jason Donaldson Healer on YouTube. And today we get to drop in a little first, and we like to generally share a little of what we've been experiencing in our own lives, and then with the collective, and a little bit of the astrology, although we're not astrologers. Well, actually, Deepa is studying as an astrologer. I'm more of like, I learned from my teacher that taught me tarot and other things, and I kind of pushed it to the side for a long time. It's like, I don't like anything controlling my destiny, or that, oh, I'm thinking about it because I read the thing about what the influences are from the planets. That's why it's happening. But more and more I saw the value of it, and especially nowadays, how much assistance and context it offers, even though it's not determining anything, but it's a subtle influence. So it's a great way to gauge what's happening and not take it personally.
Yeah, I think definitely. I'm just observing a lot right now, which is kind of funny. It feels like that energy of the Gemini new moon that's coming up on Saturday. But, observing what's happening, in my own life with the people around me. And it just feels like, well, it's basically feeling like there's a lot going on up here. There's a lot going on in the mind. We're at the tail end of the Gemini season. It's weird because we have these flip-flopped moons. So we're having a new moon at the end of the season instead of full moon. So that'll be going on for the next year. So to me, it always feels like a full moon and a new moon happening simultaneously. So the new moon is in this pocket where the full moon usually sits. And all at the same time, we're tying up loose ends. We're saying, okay, I think all that stuff I was feeling and thinking through, this is the stuff I want to release, and this is the stuff I want to open up to. So there's, with every full moon and new moon, there is always that releasing and opening up to the new, no matter what. There's something going on with those two playing with each other. So I'm definitely interested in what the cards have to say about the Gemini new moon that's going to be happening on Saturday. But I feel like in general, people are just getting clear about how they want to move forward over the next couple months. And this could be like anything as simple as like plans for the summer to like bigger projects. But I feel like May and some of June, there was a lot of wool gathering and there was a lot of busyness. And now I feel like, the strands are being collected and divided into groups. And then there's like a pathway being cleared so we know how to traverse forward. So it does feel like a clearing, like, okay, you've got all this new information and now you can decide how you want to use it or in which way you want to use it and how you want things to go. So that's going to give us a little more feeling of control, although I don't know if I want to put that much weight on it. I don't know if we have that much of that much power over what is, coming up for us and going on around us. There really is this underlying theme of being flexible, adaptable, and really listening to the intuition and going with the flow. So there's still this energy of being in the dark a little bit. And I think we're going to feel a lot of interesting ebbs and flows this summer with Venus in Leo and Venus retrograde. So it's going to be an interesting summer. I feel like I keep saying that.
Yeah, I just love the Venus energy. I'm a Taurus rising, and I just love the comfort and the beauty and the it's just the beautiful feeling, of all those Empress, like divine feminine energies are just so like feel so good, especially being in the male form, being more masculine and with the Aries moon and all that stuff is just, it feels really good to have that comfort. And in the past it would bring up fear for me of I need to protect this and I need to make sure this doesn't get destroyed because everything I love like this gets destroyed, and more realizing that it's inside of me so it can't be destroyed, and it's probably going to change, and it has for me in numerous ways, and it keeps getting better, honestly, because it's coming from inside more and more. It's like all these illusions of what I think is something is really coming from inside, and I'm seeing more and more that's going to happen for the collective. And that's why it might be painful right now with everything coming up and with the Gemini new moon is like, and I think it was Bridget, I forget the Biddy Tarot woman. She did like in her newsletter, she was talking about the 6 of Cups reversed. And like, that's what I was feeling too, is like the 6 of Cups energy, this like childhood memories, and even you could say wounding or experiences, and how there's an opportunity when these children come to us, these children from our past that are us, to be with them and breathe with them and bring them into presence, and to be loving rather than try to negotiate with them, try to, push them to the side, tell them to shut the hell up or whatever it is. I got to deal with this, to actually take a moment to breathe and feel it. And then the more we feel it, it's almost like the kids with us as we're going through life. And it makes me feel more vulnerable and kind of afraid, and then just breathing with all that, and how much more open the world is to me, even though I feel scared because I got my kid here on my lap, going through the world, and people respond more because they see more of the child energy and more of that love and tenderness versus, get behind me, I need to protect you, we're not letting anybody gonna get near you. And that's just so powerful. And I think that's what we're all being offered with the emotion that was coming up, especially the last couple of weeks. And then as we move into, with this Gemini new moon, is really like, how do we deal with our past and those childhood woundings in a different way? How can we be present with it and do something different rather than what we were doing in the past? And then, with the Cancer, sun moving into Cancer, it'd be a lot more of that nurturing and that love as well. And so, that's what I'm feeling with a lot of this, is even the ceremony we did on Sunday. When I say ceremony, it's breath work, sound healing, and just how much, like what I was channeling was talking about children and the children being safe, and how much of that came up in that group. It was Sunday on the 11th when Pluto just went back into Capricorn, and it's like all this stuff comes up again. And I was guided to start doing a juice fast. And I remember, Deepa, you were just telling me that you were guided to change your diet as well. So like you were saying, this opportunity to really listen and be like, what is it I truly need right now? And am I willing to do it?
Yeah, that, first of all, it's so cool you mentioned Biddy Tarot. That's the certification I went through for tarot. So that was in 2020. That's so fun that you know who she is. And then what I was going to say is, I just posted a reel on Instagram, and all this came up in that reading, and it was seeing wounds of the past being healed and alchemized into this very beautiful harvest, so much abundance, a time of creativity. And when it showed up in my own life, because definitely that reading resonated with me, it was yes, a wound from childhood for sure, but more on the I felt it more about a wound that occurred like a decade ago, and how I have made the most of that. And it really was about making lemonade out of lemons, and coming full circle as far as what's going on right now and what's happening. So I think there's definitely something about, like, there was this time, this powerful ending. It was super painful, but you've really grown from it, and this is what you have to show for it. Look how far you've come. So there's always, I noticed on the spiritual growth path with spirit and the universe and the communication that we have through spirit while we're on our journey. And I always feel like they stop us every once in a while and say, look how far you've come. They stop us once in a while and say, it's time to be grateful. Or they stop us once in a while and say, don't forget to have fun. And there's always these little signposts, like, yeah, we want to have a mission, and we want to have, something that we can, a channel which we can give and offer and serve. There's so much that the universe wants to give back to us to create a balance. There's this balance that has to be maintained. So in those moments where we step back and we look how far we've come, or we just are in gratitude and we appreciate, where we're at, and we're just having fun and raising our vibration, that's when we get to receive back from the universe all that work that we're doing in service. And it's like a coin. You can't have one side of the coin without the other. And it's that way. It's like we're going to get those reminders for self-care, for self-love, for patience, for gratitude, for compassion, because it's the other side of the coin. If we just did service all the time, we'd be dry crackers. So, and nobody wants a dry cracker. Yeah. So I'm definitely seeing these similar themes.
Yeah, and it's not really present if we're constantly thinking, what do I need to do to be happy and get what I want to feel more safe or whatever. It's like, what about just doing it right now?
Yeah.
That's what I was on my walk this morning, and I've been doing these walks every morning. I walk barefoot on the cement on the way back, which is like my favorite part, even though it's not along the ocean, which the first part is. But like, I started having all these ideas of what I want to do and what I want to share with people. And I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just be here now and just enjoy what's happening? And so constantly doing that, so that like it's not a chore. And I love what you said about gauging how far we've come, rather than focusing on the problem or where we need to be, is like, how far have I come? And that brings the gratitude, and it brings the energy of like, wow, I'm really doing it. I'm really there. And Jacqueline says, yes, healing those wounds so we can find the bliss. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Gratitude and finding the fun. Nice.
Yeah, it was so cool. Like you always hear like all, just follow your excitement, have a good time. And I'm like, okay, it's definitely like not always on the top of my list. It's just not. I'm quite a serious person, except I laugh a lot. It's like I just like to work, and I do keep things light because I'm just a happy person. But like going out and having fun just doesn't happen all the time for me, for various reasons. But last summer, like every summer, I usually go to this event in Canada, and it's a music festival. And I went last year, and I really took it to heart. I was like, I'm just going to put everything down, and my goal is fun. Like, I'm just going to have fun. And honestly, in a way, it felt like, I gave myself like this to-do list. But in another way, it was like, okay, how does this work? Like, let's see what happens here when I just let go, because I don't party. I don't drink. I have to find different ways to have fun than like the normal way. You know what I mean? And I had just danced and listened to music and played music and had so much fun. And they always tell you, that raises your vibration, that raises your frequency when you do that. And lo and behold, by the end of the weekend, After all of that, my crown chakra popped open, and I know it did because I could feel it. And for an entire 24 hours, it was just on. It was just beaming. Like, I don't know what was going on up there, but I definitely, like, because I was doing that, I raised my vibration enough to pop open to a new level. So yes, I had to do that previous work to even be able to get to that point, but it worked. And there's so much value in just letting go and like being in the moment and just letting your heart be lifted, you know, out of whatever it is that you're experiencing, even if it's just like a normal, mundane, day-to-day thing. So, and then that being said, Molly was just saying, Molly McCord, the astrologer, on her Gemini new moon reading, she was just talking about this exactly, how, you know, there's so much right now about your mundane daily details, but a new perspective coming in. So it's like, and I just told you this before we got on air, Jason, but it's like you're doing those same things that you do every day. Maybe it doesn't look any different, but our perspectives are being like re-enlivened and refreshed. And it's making like a more juicy, a more Shakti filled day out of the mundane, which would normally feel maybe really dry or repetitive. It's like, well, I'm going to do this with, you know, now I'm excited about doing this, or I'm going to do it this way because I have this perspective now, or now I'm just more in my heart. So it feels completely different. So it's definitely like, there's definitely a perspective shift going on with this energy. And it's really helping us all to be in a more like high vibrational state, even with this 3D reality we're in.
Yeah, that's what raising your level of consciousness is you get a different perspective, and then the mind freaks out because it doesn't have anything to relate it to. Like, because the intellect is always going to go to the past to try to like fill in the gaps. And if it can't, this insecurity comes up. This, I've seen this a lot when I was doing therapy with people, is if you give them too much too fast, especially working with the spiritual components and the oneness of all things, they'll kind of freak out because the intellect just doesn't know what to do with it, the ego, and that's our protection. And so so much is based on our programming and our ideas of how things are and who we are, that when that's challenged, it feels really nebulous and weird. And it's the equivalent of like doing a bunch of mushrooms or acid or something, is like you're just expanded and you're like, holy crap. And with those, it's like you're so present and you're so much in the flow of energy and connection with everything. It's like, oh my God, you know, I got to just breathe and try to be with this. And so that's what I see is, you know, why there's such a big interest in the medicine, you know, the mushrooms and ayahuasca and all that. And, you know, I've done it a little here and there, but mine was always meditation and to get to that state. And it took a long time, but I was kind of OCD. So I was like, I'm going to be superhuman if I meditate enough. But I'd get those states, and it was really powerful. And what I realized more and more is, you know, the energy creates the physical form. And so as light, as energy, light and consciousness are basically the same thing. So as consciousness comes into the DNA, it projects out the physical body. And so when we work with the consciousness, when we work with the energy, and we work with elevating that, it changes the physical body. It changes the neuroplasticity of the mind. It rewires everything. And you could be like, oh, it was the mushrooms that did that. Or, oh, it was, you know, taking these antidepressants for a while and it made the hippocampus grow a little more. And really it's just shifting that perspective and shifting the frequency of energy we're embodying. And that's something that I was tuning in my recent newsletter. I was sharing about Neville Goddard, which he's the one, like before the law of attraction was really big, he was presenting something called the law of assumption. He did all these talks in the 1950s. And he's basically saying you assume the energy of what you want to be. And rather than thinking about it, you think from it. So it's just a choice of breathing into like, what is it like to be in self-mastery? And I'm in self-mastery. What would I do with that? And we have all these wonderful examples of people in self-mastery, you know, that, excuse me, the avatars and, you know, the enlightened beings and how they navigated reality. It doesn't mean I'm always going to do that, but I have a choice to come to that energy whenever I'm being offered this illusion of separation or that there's something wrong or bad in my life. It's like, well, I'm going to be in self-mastery, and how would I move with this? And it's like, breathe, relax. Okay, actually everything's fine. And then we notice something we never noticed before, and that's a whole new reality. And that's how all this works. But we're so convinced we think we know the way things are. And most of it's programming from schools, parents, even in our genetic code. There's certain programs running, but all that can be shifted with the power of consciousness, the power of presence. It's really, really exciting. Very exciting time to be alive. That's why we're all here, and so many of us.
Yeah, and I was just saying this totally relates to, or I was just thinking, this totally relates to inner source love, peace, and joy. So I feel like, instead of like in that moment, like last summer, I truly like forced that for myself, So it was
Did you
like,
force or just surrender to it?
no, sourced.
Oh, you sourced it. I thought you said you
Yeah.
forced it. You sourced
No,
it for
no
you.
force.
Yeah.
Opposite of force. But that's been so important on my healing journey, is to learn how to source what I need from within. And the tricky part is, it's not like you're not allowed to need people or want to be around people or something. It's not like that at all. It's just, just not placing that responsibility of what you need onto somebody else, and coming together as two wholes with another person instead of two parts, in parts or in half. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. And that's, what I'm realizing more and more is the people around me are just like the emotions inside of me. And one of my coaches years ago has told me, like, I think you don't want to be around people because you don't want to be by yourself, or you don't want to be with yourself. And it didn't really make sense, but I kind of caught it. But it's making more sense now, is like, the emotion that comes to visit is like these child parts of me, and there's an opportunity to be with it and not be overwhelmed by it, to be in the place of love and finding that center. And like people that do journeys or meditate a lot or do yoga, for a long time, or martial arts, you find this center in you, and it's really indestructible and invincible. And we can come to that center no matter what's happening around us, breathe and come into there. And so the more we're in that, the more we're able to navigate everything around us. And same with the emotion, like it's just something coming to visit, like a smell or a sensation or even pain in the body. It's there for us, and the opportunity to breathe and be that loving presence for it, just like we would with someone we love and care about that comes to us that's upset. It's an opportunity to be present with them. But what happens is, like, people comes to us that are upset that we don't know, and we're like, get the hell away from me. Like, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to connect with you. And that's like, aspects of us too. And it doesn't mean we have to invite them in and come to our house and hang out with them all the time, but it's an invitation to feel that emotion that comes up as they're in our proximity. And so I think that's why a lot of patterns perpetuate and happen, is these people show up in our lives, and it's opportunity to feel. And the more we feel and integrate that and let go of our reactions to it and come to that love, the less that happens, the more that person quits playing that role in our life, or people like that. And sometimes, there's people you got to distance from because it just doesn't feel healthy. It's not safe. But always feeling the emotion of that and not making it about them, or that they're wrong, or that they're evil, is a popular one, or that there's some label about how horrible they are. And it's easy to just to project that onto them and be like, all right, done. And that's what I realized with a lot of people. They want to just, like in school, we've been trained, like, what is this thing? I can label it now. I can just not think about it anymore and move forward. But life's not like that. It's not categorizing things and dismissing them. And I don't have to feel anything about it anymore because I know what it is, because we don't know what anything is. At the end of the day, even what science is showing us, it's just observation, and a lot of the data is like cherry picked, and you can manipulate it with statistical analysis. I mean, there's so much you can do to shift things. And as we move into new realities, we're going to be seeing that more and more. Like, wait a minute, that isn't supposed to happen. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I love that, what he said to you. So you don't want to be around people because you don't want to be with yourself, right? That's
I don't want to feel
a great way to put it. Right, because other people will trigger what's in us.
And it's already there. It's there all the time, and I've been effectively pushing it away. And then
Yeah. Well, that just makes so much sense to me with, just noticing when people are really uncomfortable in social settings, or they get super anxious, or just don't like people. I mean, that was really helpful. Thank you.
yeah, and that's, like, the whole, like Jesus and Buddha, and they'd walk amongst the poor and the sick and the people hurting. And a lot of us don't like that because it brings up our own vulnerability and our own inner pain and our own like fear of being in poverty and things. And so to like see that is like, oh, that, and just, it brings up stuff. And I think they just felt it and they were with it and they loved that part of them inside of them. And then they were able to love the part outside of them. And the more they did that, it shifted the whole reality. And they could actually heal people. And it wasn't them doing it. It was like what they were channeling, what they were embodying, what was flowing through them. And basically they're remembering that this is a dream,
Yeah. Interesting simulation we're in.
Yeah. My friend was talking about that, about it being a simulation, and then there's beings in here that are like kind of like bots in a movie or in like a video game or something, and not really like real conscious beings. I don't know that I believe that. I mean, it's interesting, but I feel like everyone here is consciousness, because all energy is conscious. All consciousness is energy, and it's just like how big of a role do they play?
Yeah.
Because we can never comprehend this anyway while being in it, but it's interesting. I don't know if you have that perspective as well, that there's like just like kind of like extras in a movie that never really.
I know what he means by it.
Yeah,
we're all that for each other, especially in the background when we don't really have a big effect, like you said. The way I've been like just going like this, when you cock your head to the side and you think about something, you're like, huh. That's been coming up for me about astrology, because like it definitely the planets and the stars and the movement of our solar system definitely has such a profound effect on us. And it is really beautiful how we each have, that photograph when we were born of our star setup, our astrological chart. And it's so perfect how it works with us through life. So, okay, when Mercury moves here, this point in my chart gets triggered, and then I go through an experience. And when you think about it at that level, it's like, if they really set this up as a simulation for growth, personal growth or spiritual growth, it's genius. I mean, it's like so genius. Like, of course. Yeah, it's so beautiful. So it's the one thing I've been thinking about as like a program set up. Okay, so if we want these people to grow while they're there, we need something to trigger them. And we need some sort of, these planets or these stars and this connection, it's just incredible.
Yeah, and we did that. Like each one of us created this world, and we live in it from that creation and interact with all the other parts of us. And we all have our own reality and our own way of interacting. Yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah. Cool. Well, should we pull some cards?
Yeah, sure. See what comes through.
Okay. Do. So we're doing a collective reading now for those of you who are watching this live or the recording, and this will be for the week of, I guess, June 11th through, what's this weekend? 18th, 17th, 18th,
18th, 19th or something like that.
Yeah. So through this weekend. And I think what we are noticing or just being aware of is the Gemini new moon, which is Saturday night for some. And also we will be entering Cancer season. The sun will be moving into Cancer soon, a couple days later. And the solstice, the summer solstice. So lots of amazing energies and new energies, feels like newness.
Which is, I got that first card, the Page of Swords.
Oh my gosh, I totally got that when I was shuffling.
And so this is from the Ascension Angel Tarot deck. My friend Seth made himself.
Oh, cool. We haven't gotten to see this one yet.
Channels angels. Yeah, I think I presented it like a while back, but
Okay.
yeah, and so yeah, basically it's like this new energy, this idea, this like an insight that comes forth, and it really works with like the mind and shifting perspective and channeling more of the divine thoughts, or more of like everything comes from the subconscious in a sense. Like we have all this programming in the subconscious, and through the subconscious we connect to the superconscious or the higher self. And the more we like come into a good feeling, and more we like embrace the gratitude and the love that we truly are, the subconscious like slows down. We have new experiences, and we have a new way of thinking that's presented to us. Whereas before there was this level of thinking that could be quite hellish, in fact. But the more we realize we're safe and we go through the world, and Neville Goddard, again, he talks about, making sure when you go to bed, you're in a good place, and making sure you're feeling well. And that's old wisdom that we used to hear, like never go to sleep angry, and never go to bed upset, because it does something to the subconscious mind. And even throughout the day is like, the more we embrace the truth of who we are and the light of who we are, the more the thoughts get rewired and reprogrammed. And you don't need drugs for that. You don't need pharmaceuticals and things, but it helps. Honestly, it helped me at a period of my life, and then it didn't anymore. And then I microdosed mushrooms for a while when I was thinking I needed to go back on those drugs like 10 years ago. And that helped. 2 months of microdosing, just tiny bit, changed everything. It changed my perspective, and everything changes as a result. And so also got the King of Cups reversed. And this I'm getting is just intuitively like, and I want to read on this card to see his interpretations, because it's a little different, but just like emptying that cup, letting go of the emotions and what we're holding. And this happened in a breathwork ceremony we did last night, where right when the second round of breathing started, and this is the one where the breath gets really and starts to build and get more intense. The first round is more of like a normal way of breathing in through the nose, expanding to like a 4 or 5 count, and then out through the mouth to like a 4 or 5 count. Just nice fluid expansion, belly breaths. Really, if we're breathing like that all the time, we're going to be like masters. That's all we need to do. Second round, you get into the more like the Darth Vader breath, but without all the intensity, where you're just going and as we do that, it really starts to move areas, energies in the body, and emotion can come up. And right then it starts raining. Right as we start that round, it starts raining. And it was just such a great metaphor for the emotions, as the emotions are representing water, to allow that flow of water. If it's flowing through a hose, if the body's like, a bone or a hose, the water flows through. And the only reason it gets constricted is because we're dancing with it, with the intellect, with the thoughts, the ideas, the beliefs, the stories of what happened in the past. Restricts it all. If we can just breathe and let go and feel it, there's more of this flow. And so that's what I get with that, is letting go. And then again, the last card is the moon. And so I feel that is the subconscious, and how the emotions dance with the subconscious. And the more we're able to be with the emotion, let go of the thoughts, ideas, beliefs of what it means and why it happened, the more we're going to reprogram our subconscious mind, the more easily we're going to be navigating life. And we'll be offered thoughts maybe that still aren't our highest self or highest aspect, but it's going to be less intense. And really, for me, the heart and intuition is really where I try to always go. And it's nice when the thoughts aren't like, you suck and blah blah blah. Like I used to have that all the time, and now they're more like, oh, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that, rather than you suck and it's not going to work. Now it's like, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. And I don't really listen to that should stuff either too much, but sometimes it helps to be like kept in balance, with the intellect and the ego. Is like, oh yeah, this is what's expected based on my programming in society. And that's helpful when you're in a group and people are like, kind of like, oh, what are you talking about? I start talking about the Zeta or something at a breathwork ceremony, and the people there aren't really have much of a galactic awareness, and then you see their eyes go like, and so I just changes the topic. But let me read on the King of Cups, and see what the deeper meaning of this card has. So Seth is a friend of mine. He's communicates with angels, and he was guided to come to our breathwork and sound healing ceremonies, and had some messages for me. It was really helpful, and he gifted me this tarot deck. And so you can find him. I think talktomyangels.com, I believe is his website. I'll double check that before we leave. So the King of Cups. Oops, that's the Knight. So the King is the keeper of our individual and collective book of life. By agreeing to take the avatar of the body on Earth, we agreed to experience illusionary obstacles to show us who we truly are. The agreements that are made in our Akashic records all contribute to the light, even when they appear to oppose what makes sense in the illusionary world of form. Diplomacy is more than being able to see both sides of anything. It is the ability to see the unity in everything. Our angels don't take sides in our illusionary conflicts with each other on Earth. They love and accept us all exactly as we are. So the deeper meaning is diplomacy. So that's really cool. I love that. The keeper of our individual collective book of life, the Akashic records, diplomacy. Yeah, so that's what I get. That's what the cards show. And as I tune in energetically, how to be at peace with yourself, that to love yourself, all the parts, even the emotions when they show up.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a lot of themes in the reading I pulled that you're talking about. So we did get unity for the light language card, and this is Pleiades expanding.
Nice.
So remember when I said, like, with every new moon and full moon, there's a release and then a new beginning. And so the release we got was Orion, releasing this Orion energy, manipulating things externally in our lives to achieve our goals. This is what we're letting go of. And we're now inner sourcing what we need to achieve our goals, to manifest our dreams externally. So integrity, authenticity, and honesty, as opposed to, well, I don't want to grow. I don't want to do any, I don't want to get there myself internally. So I'm just going to manipulate my outer circumstances. So we're releasing the need to self-defeat, which we did get, 5 of Swords in reverse. We're releasing the need to self-defeat, to undercut our own success. It's the 7 of Pentacles in reverse. Because we're still getting the Ace of Swords in reverse. There's still some, and this is the 9 of Swords upright right underneath it. So it's like there's still this energy of really being caught in the mind. There's so much Swords energy here. Like it's 1 foot in self-sabotage and 1 foot in, I see a better way. I see a brighter future. And so if we can realize that, justice is here, a major arcana card, we do have justice. And I think you said it too.
Diplomacy, yeah.
Yeah. It's like balance is here. You are in that place karmically where you're going to get back all the work that you've been putting out. You do deserve this. And I think I said that in the reel that I posted too. So it's like with 4 of Cups upright, just being ready to open up to what's being offered. There is like this resistance still, we're still caught in the mind, the 9 of Swords. There's a little resistance to opening up to what's new. Maybe there's some fear there still from the past. We're not used to manifesting in certain ways. We're used to getting what we want in other ways, in cheap ways. And we got so much about new beginnings, manifestation, and leadership. So, look at all these colors too. I mean, there's the root chakra colors, but this
very Gemini, like, I got
Yeah.
all this amazing, and then it's like, oh my God, I'm in the dumps
Yeah.
again, you know?
Yeah. We're contending with ourselves.
Yeah, the dual aspect of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like new beginnings, manifestation, leadership. So I do feel like a lot of us are being asked to step up in some way in our lives. And we're contending with the wounds that live in that kind of energy. We also got this beautiful galactic card, the Agarthans, and I'll show it to you, but it says manifesting multidimensional perception and attunement. And where's the other one? You're very close to achieving your, oh, I see it. You're very close to achieving your goal. And then we got no place like home and happy, happy. So I feel like we're there. A lot of us are anyway, to achieving like an alignment that just feels good for right now, a place to go. Like a no place like home would be like, even if it's inner, like feeling like home is always with us and I am safe in my body. That's huge. And I can be happy in my body. Um, there's just so much coming up about growth.
So that's self-sourcing, right? Like those
Yeah.
cards, that's totally like when we're self-sourced, even if we're
This one.
in like a hellish environment, there's like, this ability to be safe within, despite everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Interestingly enough, with Cancer energy coming, we did get regression. This is Dr. Lisa Thompson's deck. She lives here on the island. She's actually a past life regression therapist too. But anyway, so here's regression. There's definitely something, and then we got this one, which I think connects to it. Definitely the number 31, golden ratio, beauty and nature and patterns. And of course, here's that beautiful spiral pattern, different deck. And definitely this is a time a lot of people are seeing a lot of number patterns, a lot of synchronicities. And I feel like every time it's just spirit confirming you're on the right path, like trust and thrive. That was one of our guidance cards. Trust. You will do this. You will thrive. You will be successful. Be brave and honest with yourself is another guidance card we got. And I think this is going to bring you into inner alignment, which will help you achieve that inner unity that you're really wanting from yourself. Because once that place, once you get there inside of yourself, no place like home, it's like it's a freedom is unlocked. And then it really isn't as important, what we do. Of course, we want, to do things that make us happy, but this is about our inner state, this earth experience, and how we bring that to balance within. And these old ways, these old tactics of like manipulation, self-defeat, self-sabotage. It's like a lot of us are just realizing, if we haven't already, that it's not going to get us there. It's not going to get us to this place of unity and peace, internal peace inside. It's only going to cause more frustration and more stagnation, and we're going to keep attracting situations that don't support us.
Yeah, it's got to be self-sourced, because that's where it's coming from. It's like we can't just move around the mess and expect things to change, because it's all an illusion. And same with like a lot of when we diagnose things or label something, it's like, oh, that's what it is, and what's the prognosis? How do I deal with this? And it's getting caught up in the illusion of there being a problem, when really it's something that's asking for our attention, to be present with it. Like when I was talking about being on a walk, and actually, I don't know if I shared it here, but I was talking about like stretching. Like I'll take my umbrella and I'll stretch out my shoulders, and I'll walk and try to work on my posture, and really like how to walk like a human would, in barefoot and stuff too. So you get full range of motion and really stretch and move everything. And he was saying like, oh, how is it amazing you can do that? Like my rotator cuffs are all messed up and I was going to get surgery, but I can't afford it, and blah, blah. I'm thinking, oh, that's pretty good. And like, I mentioned a couple of things like acupuncture, but really it's like, that's trying to get his attention, like to come and be with that place and be loving towards it rather than this is something horrible and why did this happen. And of course we're going to feel like that at first, but to realize it's happening for a reason, and to tune into that place and be loving towards it, or at least accepting, and then paying attention to what's presented and how I can deal with this, what I can do to heal it, or what I can do to effectively mitigate a lot of the pain, or just trusting that it's there rather than a punishment or something. And when we think it's because of something that happened, and it's always going to be that way because someone tells us that, then that's the way it'll be. Like, I met a guy one time that was telling me about how he was in a mountain bike accident. He broke his back. He was laid up in the hospital, and he told me, like, everyone was telling him he'd never walk again, the doctors, the nurses, everybody, because it was so bad. And he said, you know what? I didn't believe anything they said. I knew if I nodded, if I even blinked when they said that I would never walk again. And he's like, and there he was standing right in front of me, and he had kind of like his back had a little like kink in it, but he was walking and moving around and everything, and he just refused to believe that programming, that this is the way it's going to be, because it's his life and he knows what's best for him and what he's choosing. I'm not saying we can overpower everything in our reality, but it's like a lot is offered to us in the form of thoughts, beliefs, ideas, programming, whether it's movies or school or whatever. And it's like a lot of that we can let it go. And with all those swords coming up, it's just being the witness of it. And it's okay that it's in our head. It doesn't mean anything. It's just being offered, and to come to that source, that light within when that shows up, and not try to even re-script it or change the swords or whatever, moving the swords around, or I'm going to turn this sword sideways, or I'm going to make this one dull so it doesn't hurt anymore. It's just, you're playing in the illusion, you're making it stronger. And so that's why I always guide everyone to the breath. And the breath is now, when I meet Hawaiians and I tell them that I teach people how to breathe, just because it's hard to explain what I do, they're like, thank you. Like, because most of us aren't breathing, and when we're not breathing, we're like anxious, and we're not present, and we're not really able to engage consciously in a relaxed manner. It's hurried, and it's just not fun. It's not pleasant. And so the breath,
it's not fun for the people around you either,
No, it's not. No. And they get,
we did bring love into the situation. So that's cool that you said that. It's so true.
Yeah. Shine the light of love on it. I may not like what we see or feel, but that's the what's there to be integrated, to be felt and brought into the love, rather than thinking that we need to like push it away or label it or blame someone for why it's there. And I think that's what mastery is. That's what ascension is, and that's what it's going to be asked of us. And those of us that do that, even though it's difficult, it's going to be a different reality. And those that don't, they have a different reality too. And that's what a lot of the ascension material will say, is those that choose something other, that choose to believe that they're victims, or that something's happening to hold them down and destroy them, is kind of perpetuates it. And so there's things that happen in my life I don't like either, but I try to remember it's not someone trying to hurt me or destroy me. And if that is happening, I protect my ass, do what I need to do. But I also see the pain of why that person would do it. Try to see the pain that they're operating from, and I don't need them in my life. But to not like hate and put that out and blame, and that's what I think.
Like it's because of you that I'm suffering.
Yeah, because there's truth to it, and it's like there's a choice. And do we continue the suffering by holding on to that? And I watched that in my own life with something that happened where I watched the community rally around a person that was basically lying and basically saying a lot of really hurtful things. And people rallied around her because they had their own pain they were operating from, and their own unresolved issues. And it got pretty ugly, and it was quite upsetting to witness. And I see that a lot. And that's what I really hope for the New Earth is there's more grace. We just can we have some grace for each other and for ourselves, and quit trying to like beat the fuck out of everybody. Come on. Like, this punishment, and like in the schools I worked in, it's just so much punishment, yelling and screaming, and it's it's just
the one thing that I hear repeatedly from children when I ask how their day was, it was really great, they say, except for the teacher yelling. I hear that so often. That is their memory of school. That's a mess. We need to discipline, to teach, whatever it is, the reason the yelling's coming out, we need new tactics. Kids should not be yelled at in the classroom.
Yeah, and like the kids will do that intentionally, poke at someone to see if they're going to yell or see what they're about, or to get some leverage on them. And I experienced that when I was doing these boys to men groups in the high schools and middle schools, and we had men from the community come volunteer. And I grew up with being yelled at a lot, and I try not to do that. And I did it a lot in my 20s. I would get upset and yell and throw fits. And I've really, with all the meditation, I've really gotten better with that. And there was times where I really wanted to do that, and I just breathed and I calmed down, and I would start like calling them out. I was like, what's going on, guys? Why are you acting up? Why is this happening? And then they would tell me, like, we don't like being here. We don't want to do this. This is stupid. It's like, well, what do you want to do? Like, we want to go outside, or we want to play our video games, or it's like, all right, well, we can't do that, but this is what, how about you do like 10 minutes of it, and then we're going to do this other thing, or we do this thing and then you do 10 minutes of it, or before we come to the group, you guys can just wander around and walk for 10 minutes. And then when I call you in, I had this whole thing set up where it was like, encouraging them to follow this certain behavior. But so much is set up in our world where it's like, you do what I say, or I'm going to yell at you and punish you.
Yeah.
And I experienced that with being around kids, is like, well, I didn't get to do that. I didn't get away with that. Well, if I would have said that, and it was a lot of it was like, this kid is free to do what he wants, and what's the big deal? I think it needs to be a certain way because I went through it, and just this perpetual on and it's really like so ingrained. It's amazing like how irritated it would make me when a kid wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, and it was like, well, do they even need to do that?
Yeah, like I noticed with my own kids, like if one of them specifically is always gets really grouchy and bullying the other one, I'm like, okay, there's a need she has right now that's not being met, and you can see it from a mile away, and I know she has certain needs. And so it's like putting the responsibility on myself. Okay, what can I do? She's only 7. How can I provide? How can I help her to source for herself right now what she needs? And I'm the parent, and she's only 7. So there is a certain amount like I need to take on to assist her to understand her emotions, to help her learn how to work with her emotions. I noticed that, when you get like this, it's because you're actually really hungry, and it's up to me to help her see that and to provide that snack. And I think yelling is just a cheap way out. Like, I don't want to take responsibility for the fact that my kid wants to eat right before dinner. I got dinner to make. Sure, I could go that route. And yes, I have gone that route before. It's a huge learning curve having kids. But
yeah, we don't have a village. There's no village to help. It's just single parents, or maybe there's another person there, or maybe if you're lucky, you got your mom or dad around or something, their grandpa's around or grandma. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be like this. That's why everyone's stressed out and yelling. It's just too much.
Yeah. There's definitely like a need for community again.
Yeah, totally. That's where
I know a lot of people are feeling that.
Yeah, it's a lot of survival fears and survival energy.
Yeah, this was a quote from Downton Abbey, although I'm sure it's been said a million times before, but kids are happier in families, bigger families. And it's like, for my husband and I, we've definitely been in that boat where it's just him and I. There is no greater family. They've all moved away. There's no grandparents around except on the mainland. So we've had to really work together and learn how to be not toxic parents, to not not rear children in the way that our parents did, which, you know, you look back on that, like, whoa, like, at least for me, not everybody had that, but I'm like, that is not going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, in the beginning, it did. I just repeated, you know, and so it was just like this great learning period of like how to heal my own wounds, first of all, so they weren't triggered by theirs, and then how to hold them and theirs and their emotions. You know, it's massive. It's going in deep for sure. Having a family is, if you want to grow spiritually, it's the way to go for sure.
Yeah, everyone's drawn to do it, or so many people are drawn to do it. And I wasn't. It freaked me out. I didn't want to have kids because I knew I was a mess. I knew I wouldn't be able to handle that. I had a hard enough time dealing with my own inner children, let alone having. And it wasn't until I got older, like now I could probably handle it. But I'd see how challenging and difficult it is. And like, I'd want the support of a village. I'd want, family and like aunties and uncles and, and the kids need that too. They need somebody other than the parents to connect with and share and that group of peers. And it's just so vital for like the tribal mentality that humans have, that we're, more than just human, but like, as mammals, as humans, like we want that herd, we want that pack, we want that tribe. And if that's not there, it's it's a little challenging. And there's some of us that are like the outcasts, which are the outlanders, the ones that would probably like you and I, or especially me. I know I'm always like walking the different path and I'm the weirdo in the group, but
totally,
we're the ones tuning into what's on the perimeter of the village. Like maybe we wouldn't be around the village for some reason, and like you got to live out there because whatever. But we're like, hey, this is going on over here, and maybe you guys should pay attention.
Yeah.
We're sensing.
Yeah, reading the sky and watching the weather patterns and the animals and tuning into something else.
Yeah.
But it always relates back to what's going on. They're not separate.
What's not separate? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, like the energy, like what I noticed through observing nature is that if I notice a certain pattern, like whether it's maybe it's a gloomy weather day or maybe it's really foggy, it directly reflects how I might be going through something. I just am not going to get the clarity I want. So they just mirror, like my inner state is mirroring, the external state or vice versa. They just directly relate. And it's always like this surprise, like, oh, wow, I saw this synchronicity or that one. And internally I was going through this. It was so amazing how it all magically manifested. And it was so exact. But it's like our belief in that we're separate from our environments that makes that seem so surprising. And in a way that all that delight is fun. It's always this moment of aha. We are all connected. I am at one with nature and my environment around me. I'm not separate. But at some point, we're going to just drop into the truth that we're not separate from each other or our environments, that we are all connected, and then realize that our actions, how much they're affecting the people around us and how much we're creating the things we don't want and the things we do want in our lives. It's big stuff. It's definitely not something everybody wants to open the window shade for.
Well, it's, if you truly embody oneness, the world will attack you in a sense. They'll challenge you. They'll question you. They'll be like, what do you mean? And that's ridiculous. And you're a narcissist, or you don't care about people, to say like when somebody dies that it's not a bad thing. There's this pain and this suffering that happens when someone dies, and in oneness you realize, well, they wanted to leave, they're in a good place, they're still here, nothing's changed. And to like really own and live that is kind of scary, to step out and say those things and live it and unapologetically. And I think that's what scares a lot of people too, is to really quote come out and live their truth. there's like parts of us that want to challenge that. And then as we address the feelings that brings up with those challenges, it gets easier and easier. And again, it comes to the emotion of, when someone is like attacking us, quote unquote, attacking us, saying something that triggers an emotion, to like breathe with it and be with the emotion and play with what that's like, but always remembering that inner sourced energy. And yeah.
Cool. Well, should we pull a final card and then say goodbye?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll do one more card.
Get a different
watch the replay. Thank you. Which card do
I want? Okay, I'm actually going to do 2, unless you want to do one.
Just tune into what I want to do.
Okay.
I'll do the angel deck again. And
that's a good idea.
A lot of this is, I'm feeling this is more for, and he might even told me this, it's more of a oracle deck, even though it follows the traditional Rider-Waite model of tarot. I haven't got to play with these as much as I'd like. I'd like to dive into them a little, because a lot of the meanings are slightly different from the traditional tarot. It like expands on it in a different way. So the truth of what we need to know in this now moment is the 7 of Wands. And again, there's that silver cord, the beam of light coming down into the body. And this is something I saw in meditation one night, not even knowing what it was. And it was this huge beam of light. And I told my teacher about it, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're going to fry yourself." And then I got clarity later from a channeler or another tarot reader saying, well, you can do that. You can channel that. Like, not everyone can, but you can. And my ego got all like, yeah, I'm super badass, and I'm going to be like an enlightened master, and I'm going to win the lottery and all this stuff. But it never happened. But that's what I think the way out is in. And when we come in, we connect with this force of energy, this source energy, and it expands and it grows, and it helps us see and navigate the emotions and the sensations and the pain and the illusions into more of a higher level of consciousness, more of the unity. And the more we connect to that state, the more things are going to change. And so I'll read on the 7 of Wands. I almost turned right to it. So her resolve steeled, a figure activates her courage with the mandala of light, symbolizing divine protection around her. Stepping into courage instantly connects us to an inner power source. When we move forward, knowing that this alone will create our outcome that we desire, it is brought into being. We are the one that takes the action and the one that creates the forward momentum. Knowingly, fully, that everything will fall into place from this faith-filled action. The angels nudge us through our awareness to take a leap of faith. So this one represents courage, trusting and knowing and taking that leap of faith. And, she's held and connected. So it's going to work out, even if it seemingly doesn't.
I love that. It actually looks like this one that we got, Night, Be Brave and Honest.
Yeah, and there was another one with a beam of light too, is like the strength or the joy, or happy, laugh one or something.
Oh, right. That looks just
happy,
like
joy.
Happy, joy.
What was that from? Was that wasn't that Ren and Stimpy or something?
Brian probably knows. He's on. What is that? What's happy, joy, Brian? Also, just so you know, Brian, we got your card, Unity, today.
Nice.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So we'll see if he answers. But I love that, because it actually goes with the card I got, which is Surrender to Inner Peace. That's what it says at the top. Surrender to Inner Peace. And it says cultivate inner peace on a daily basis. In quiet meditative moments, focus on the stillness within and enjoy this inner refuge. Others will feel your good vibes too, and your life will flow more easily. It's like choosing to operate. Oh, he said yes. So that was probably a yes to Ren and Stimpy is my guess. We'll see. But I feel like if we choose to keep that inner temple turned on as we interact throughout our days, our interactions will be so different and so much more loving. And then we got for the self-care. I love this deck. It's so fun. It's the self-care, the Sacred Self-Care Oracle by Jill Pyle. And we got number 15, which is a 5, connect with your ancestors. And it looks like your galactic ancestors with the stars up there, but it says connect with your ancestors.
Is that a lion? A sphinx?
It's a woman, but it's like, what's it called?
Like
it's like
behind her.
It's like a real filter on Instagram where you see 3 of it, there's 3 of her instead of 1. That's what it is. That's why it looks funny. Probably see
it looks like kind of like a lion or something.
Or she almost looks like a pharaoh there.
Yeah, like the white behind her.
Yeah. Connect with your ancestors. Yeah, definitely a powerful time to connect. We got so much beautiful Neptune energy, you know, just like really taking time out to meditate and talk to your spirit guides right now, listen to your intuition. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, be present. Notice what's happening.
Yes, Ren and Stimpy going to watch the replay for the Unity card. Oh, good. I don't know if I focused on it a ton. The whole topic today is about inner unity. So you'll have to watch the whole episode, Brian. It's about inner sourced joy, peace, and happiness.
Love.
Yeah,
what all the great masters told us. Like it's all inside. It's all that is. It's the answer. And we all know it, but not many of us live it, including me.
Yeah, and it's like, can we open up to it with surrender to inner peace? It's like, can we allow it?
Yeah. For whatever reason, there's parts of us that don't want to allow that love to be felt and expressed. And but that's what it is. Deep inside, that's what we have.
Yay!
Hey, awesome.
Today.
So thank you everyone that tuned in, and everyone that watched the replay. We'll be here again next Thursday, 11 a.m. Hawaii time. Is that 2 p.m. Pacific time and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And keep an eye out on Deepa's Instagram. She'll have a special free offering where you can get a session with us next week. You can get a reading with us next week for free if you respond or do something. We'll see what Deepa comes up with that. So be ready to jump on.
You got to do it. You got to do a little dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. Aloha.
Aloha.